Hey, you're listening to Don't Lie to Your Life Coach podcast with Kim Arrington. I'm Kim Arrington. I'm a life coach, a weight loss coach, an author, and a badass passionate about helping you connect back to your most authentic self. Join me here each week so I can coach you on how to think all those juicy thoughts that get you feeling your absolute best and taking some big ass action. Coaching has changed my life, and it can change your life too. I'm here to give you real life solutions to create a life you'll love. Because the truth is, boo, you ain't just got problems, you got options. Hey, it's so weird. I'm not using my camera. I don't have on my ring light. I did plug in my mic. Don't want you to be worried. There are not going to be any nip snips. Nip, oh God. Nip slips. A nip snip is a totally different thing. A nip slip. I have on my bathrobe today because we are talking about rest. And I had to don le costume. Anyway, I didn't even do my customary hey. Hi, y'all. We're going to talk about rest today. I was like, it's time to do a rest episode. I do have an episode all about pulling back your energy and why y'all can't sleep. But this is a little bit different. This is like, I've broken rest into 3 categories. Those 3 categories are daily rest, restorative rest, and sabbatical rest, okay? Sometimes we're reminded about how important rest is because we aren't getting it, or sometimes we're reminded about how important rest is because how we judge ourselves about rest. And I was talking to a client last week. She's a medical professional. I actually have a large number of medical professionals I work with, which is obviously with the times we have just left is huge. And we're going to talk about COVID a little bit. And how that has impacted how we think about rest and labor. But, you know, she was talking about, oh, I was lazy and it was her week off and, you know, she has a small child and we didn't do anything. And I was just like, yeah, but you know, we get a lot of our feelings about rest from our parents. I was like, did you see your parents rest? And she was like, no, her dad had 2 jobs. Her mother ran home businesses. And there was this idea that we have to keep going. And this is especially big in brown and Black, you know, communities around we have to keep going because of racism, all the isms that are against us. But it does go to toxic proportions. It does. And I can speak on that because I'm Black, okay? It does. It goes to toxic proportions. But I think in any community, particularly communities who have been POC, other communities, or communities who have faced hardship, that there is this idea that there are 2 types of people. There are the people who are lazy and do nothing. We're going to get rid of that word lazy because it does not exist. And there are the people who hold up the whole community and do everything and have to have all the trappings of the house and success. And that is putting a huge amount of pressure on us to keep things going and not to recharge our batteries. Now, just a note on lazy. If you took the word lazy and you broke it down, you would find a root cause to what is going on that does not have to do. Inaction is always based on another thing, another belief, another feeling, actually usually a bunch of those things coming together to create inaction. Okay. So the whole idea of laziness, I'm not going to get deep into that. I just want you to think that when you call yourself lazy, and you have worked your job and you're taking the weekend to recharge, that is not laziness. That is actually how your body is designed to seek comfort, to seek rest, to seek recharge. Okay. So I want to talk about how this kind of crosses over. You can't talk about rest without talking about the labor movements and unions. I said unions. Didn't mean to say unions, but that's just funny. How labor is defined in this country. Now, I remember my 10th grade English teacher. You'd be so happy. You'd be so happy. I'm going to talk about Jungle. Now, one of my friends is going to listen to this podcast and be like, we didn't read Jungle in 10th grade. We read it in 9th grade. Okay, whatever. Y'all know I don't know time. Okay. Jungle by Upton Sinclair that helped to kick off a major labor movement in this country. I'm going to say with white people. And immigrant populations. Okay. So the thing about the Jungle is Upton Sinclair kind of did a whole expose of sorts of how factory work was and like the long hours, the dangerous conditions, like the products that were being made. I can't completely remember the book, but it kicked off this labor movement. And when I think about what happened in the pandemic, there was a labor movement of sorts too. Now, I'm going to read this quote from, and some of y'all who run businesses ain't gonna like what I gotta say. I'm an entrepreneur too. You ain't gotta like it. I do know that entrepreneurs have been adversely affected by changes in how people want to work. Hate when people say nobody wants to work anymore. Okay, well, I think there's a larger story to that. All right, here is, whenever someone makes a declarative statement, I'm always in my mind thinking, when we break this down into parts, what do we find? Okay. Sonia Renee Taylor, this quote actually had been attributed to Brene Brown erroneously. And Sonia Renee Taylor ended up going on Brene Brown's podcast because so many people are like, oh, this is her quote, but it isn't. It's Sonia Renee Taylor's quote. And this is what she had to say about the pandemic. We will not go back to normal. Normal never was. Our pre-corona experience was not normal, other than we normalized greed, inequity, exhaustion, depletion, extraction, disconnection, confusion, rage, hoarding, hate, and lack. We should not long to return, my friends. We are being given the opportunity to stitch a new garment, one that fits all of humanity and nature. Woot, 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 in total agreement. So I do want to point out that a lot of people see the pandemic as a restful time. And I contend that if we are certainly a time of, the word is escaping me. It's not inquisition. It's a time of asking ourselves questions, of asking ourselves what we can do, because we were just thrown in such uncertainty and confusion. But that is the thing. I do not believe my working definition of rest is that we are letting go of the confusion and the uncertainty. And because during the pandemic, I mean, huge loss of life, uncertainty, being in a place that we had not been in modern history, then it was not restorative rest. There may have been moments of rest, moments of inquiry is the word I was looking for, not the Inquisition, inquiry. But if we are in an anxious state of not knowing what's next, that is not rest. And I think that's really important for us to set that down, set that alongside of what rest is and what it isn't. to embody rest, we have to learn ways to look and manage our anxiety so it does not, and the truth is, our society, which is built on climbing, which is built on overachieving, which is built on, people say crabs in a barrel. I don't completely believe that, but there are tenets that are built into our society that do not encourage rest, which helps to magnify anxiety. However, I believe, I just read this and it resonated with me, that anxiety's root cause, or let me say this, a lot of anxiety's root cause is separation from the self, not being allowed to be the self, not being allowed to examine the self, the societal norms, the 24-hour news cycle, although I do really appreciate journalism. I do. I do. But a constant need to be on, a constant need to achieve. And I also believe that anxiety is a state that's stepped into or inherited, okay? I could say a lot about anxiety. I've had my own journey with anxiety. I do think there is an individualized approach to anxiety too, but I do want to offer this up, that when we are not able to, when there is fear that runs constantly, anxiety, that's a bedfellow with fear, okay? So can we learn how to get over the anxiety of resting? Is really where I wanted to go with this. Can we learn how to step out of all the things that are expected of us and go into deep, deep care? And as we're doing that, can we show our neighbor and our best friend and our kids and nieces and nephews and all the folks? Because think about how often you hear tired, tired, tired. Okay. So let's come up with some rules. Now, as I'm recording this, fall is putting on a light show of colors, of oranges and burgundies and browns and yellows. I always have a crush on a tree. My tree that I had a crush on in my neighborhood has done something different this year. I'm cool with that, but I got a crush on another tree down the street. Okay. So, but even looking at the seasons, right? The trees drop their leaves, not all of them, but the ones I'm talking about, they drop their leaves, and trees' metabolisms actually slow down and adapt to be able to survive winter. They rest. The leaves falling is a part of that process. And we are nature. We're nature. We are nature. Okay. So also I want to point out an Instagram account that I really like. It's called, and I'm just going to check because I want to say it's the Daily Rest, but it might just be Daily Rest. It's one that I really, really like. Give me 1 second, y'all. And then before we get into the rest renegotiations, it's called the Daily Rest. Emmy Ray. The Daily Rest is bomb. Lots of wonderful suggestions, okay? At the Daily Rest is the handle on the gram. All right. Before we get started with that, it's really interesting. Y'all know part of how, and I know there are people in this country, every time I think about rest, there is a vein of privilege that goes with it. Gosh, and I hate saying that. It really bothers me. There are some people in this country who work 40 plus hours a week who do not get PTO. They do not get health benefits. They do not get a lot of things. If you do get PTO, taking that PTO, and there is a woman, I don't know her pronouns. I also felt kind of funny saying Sonia Renee Taylor because I don't know Sonia Renee Taylor's pronouns. So please forgive me if I have misgendered you, Sonia, and I do not know this person. Now, a coach for sure. Claudia. Now, Claudia, I don't know how to say your last name. I actually went on YouTube to try to say your last name. I could not hear you saying your last name. I went on Instagram to say your last name. Claudia, you're a big damn deal. Her last name is Germeshaun. Germeshaun? I don't know. Germeshaun? Here's what Claudia did. Claudia was like, I saw it on on Facebook. This is why I plan my time off for the year every January. I encourage my clients to do that too. It's a ritual I love. You don't get any brownie points for carrying over vacation time, so use it. Now, Claudia has come up with a system of how to get 46 days off using 18 days of PTO. And listen, she has a laughing emoji. Claudia has a laughing emoji that I think is hilarious. You know what I always say, pimp the system that pimps you, okay? So January 23rd, if you take the Thursday and Friday before MLK Day off, you'll get 5 consecutive days off, okay? April 2023, if you take 4 days before Good Friday, you'll have a 10-day break. July 2023, if you take the Monday before July 4th off, you'll get a 4-day break. November 2023, if you take off 5 days after Veterans Day and 3 days before Thanksgiving, you'll get 17 consecutive days off. December 2023, if you take off 4 days between Christmas and New Year's, you'll have 10 consecutive days off. Now, I have not gone back and spell checked this. And I think I'm looking at the note, it says via MBA-ish. So maybe Claudia got this from somewhere. I don't know. Claudia, I'm giving you the credit because I don't know who to give the credit to. But this idea that you can use 18 days to get 46 days. Now, some of y'all don't get all these days off. Some of y'all are working contract positions. I get it. But for the folks who have PTO, here is a potential way to use that, okay? Let's talk about the rest renegotiables. Y'all gonna have to learn to sit on your hands. You're gonna have to learn to be bored. You're gonna have to learn to look at the paint drying on the wall. You are going to have to learn to not always be doing something. Y'all do too much. Staying in your lane sometimes. Had a friend the other day who said she was going through stuff and I did not encourage a conversation. I didn't. I trusted her ability to go through it. And if she needed to talk to me, she could ask. You're going to have to learn to not always do something. To Netflix and chill without the Netflix, but with a lot of the chill, okay? You're going to have to learn to not always need a project, okay? Learning to sit on your hands means you can get you a nap in, you can just sit there and be with your thoughts, you can turn your brain off and let it turn to mush. Learn to sit on your hands, y'all. You'll love it. I know how to do this. After being an entrepreneur and working all the time and working on the weekends, I do not work on the weekends. I do not check my Slack. Generally, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay, yeah. Remember, rest does not have to be you vertical in a bed or horizontal. Rest can be playful. Rest can actually be you throwing the ball around with the dog for 10 minutes. It can be you walking in nature. It can be tomorrow I'm going to my adult ballet class. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna move, but that is restorative rest in a way to me, a relationship with my body. Okay. Rest can be just a break from your normal. That's why I stand nature. That's why I leave my town to work on big projects. I got one coming up where I'm going to be in Seattle to work on the weight loss program. I got to go away because if I'm in this house, I'm going to look at the carpet. I want to be different and the curtain to change and the mulch that ain't down. Sometimes sitting on your hand is getting on a plane, a train, or an automobile. Okay. Rest always involves boundaries and asking, and the way to a boundary is, what do I want? You ask yourself, do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? I was in my accountability meeting this week. We call One Taco Bitch Church, OTB Church. And somebody said something, and I said, you know what? Boundaries are better than hope, because boundaries take an action to do something to get you what you want. You ain't got to just say, oh, I'm hoping it's going to happen. You kind of push it along. Rest requires you making decisions that center rest. You can ask people to be in cahoots with you when it comes to rest. Hey, remember I said I was taking this day off? Do you mind kind of like let me talk about my anxiety about it? You are allowed to say, I thought you were taking the day off, when I tell you the 3 things I'm doing. Sometimes you can lean into your friends. That's why they're your friends. Okay. Take a look at your sleep. I have an episode on it. Why y'all can't sleep. Your hydration. How much water are you drinking? Overeating can rob you of energy. Okay. And how are you moving? Remember, it doesn't have to be vigorous movement. It can be a walk around the block. I hope after this, I got a rain slicker, so I can walk in the rain. I got some old shoes. So yeah, as long as it ain't thunder and lightning, these streets gonna get some Kim. Okay. You have lotions and potions and scrubs and unused gift certificates for massage. And last night I did a lip scrub and a lip mask. Who knew there was a lip mask? Thank you, Kills. I took an Epsom salt bath. I rubbed myself down with sweet almond oil. I lit a candle. I closed the door. I whitened my teeth. I used my special face wash. I don't know if y'all can tell, the cool wrinkle I've been talking about. Well, I went to the dermatologist. Hey, going to see a specialist in something that matters to you can give you some rest. Changing up your look, if you've been wanting to change up your look, going to a stylist, or engaging the lovely person who works at the store, or going to get a facial, or going to get new makeup if you care about that stuff, or going to get fit for new boots, hiking boots, or whatever you want. But your gift certificate sitting there ain't helping ya. Use the body scrub, use the lotion. Your own touch can release hormones, neurotransmitters. Look at me trying to be a scientist. Endorphins floating in your bloodstream. Here's one: solving one of your biggest issues. Do y'all know, if you solve, I'm about to sneeze, I think, if you solve one of your issues, the amount of rumination, the amount of lack of mental rest you're giving yourself, you don't got to wait to feel good until it's completely solved. Taking a step towards it might make you feel better. waking up those old dreams, those old desires. Y'all, I'm working on my, I call it my LOA map, my law of assumption map. Because remember, y'all, when I manifest, I already see myself having all the things that I want. And I'm putting all my dreams there so I can look at it. And I live as if I already have it. If you want to learn more about the law of assumption, look it up, youtube.com. Okay. Let's talk about the different types of rest. Now, when I said mental rest, I was like, I should have added mental rest as one of these, but whatever. All right, I'm going to talk about the middle rest, okay? Mid-rest, midlife mid-rest, okay? So the way I use rest on a hierarchy, right, is daily rest is something you can do every day. Restorative rest is going to be a week or longer. And then sabbatical rest is going to be a prescribed amount of time. In my opinion, I would say, I wanted to people please and say 3 months because, y'all be like, I'm crazy. 6 months or longer. I really think a sabbatical is 6 months to a year. Really, it could be 18 months. Okay. So let's start with the mid range of that, which is restorative rest. So restorative rest, in my opinion, needs to be done a few times a year. It's a deep maintenance rest. Most of us wait until we are tapped out before we get to the rest. So restorative rest, I would consider maybe during that time getting some body treatments. I mean, they're available like acupuncture, Reiki, and massage. There's all kinds of foot things. Like that's what I do. Y'all don't got to do it. But restorative rest might be you sending your kids on to a loved one and you going on a solo trip. Restorative rest might be you and your girlfriends, but you got to tell the girlfriend who loves to be the cruise director that you ain't going to everything. They can plan till the little hearts are out, but you ain't going to do it all. Restorative rest might be you going to Sedona. Maybe I want to go to Sedona. That's why I brought it up. Restorative rest is, for me, if I'm going to do restorative rest, I usually ain't going to be at this house. I'm usually going to be on vacation. I'm not going to be at the gym every day. I am stepping away from some of my habits to just be who I am. And then I'll step back to some of my habits when I get back. And that is restorative rest, Kim. Okay. And so for me, that means that I'm going to probably do my habits 25% less. So 65 to 75% of the time. It's not a hard, fast rule. Restorative rest is the rest that reminds you you are not just an employee at the company. You ain't just somebody's mama or aunt. You ain't somebody's best friend or daughter. You are your own person. You belong to yourself. You get to see yourself. You get to sit on them hands. If it's in a beach with a drink with an umbrella in it, so be it. Okay. I'm going to now go to the 6 month or more. And remember, y'all, this is just how I'm saying it. You got options. Remember, boo, you ain't just got problems. You got options. You got options. So sabbatical rest. And I have right now a client who I am helping to lead through the process of a sabbatical. So I think it's really important, if you can, to hire an accountability partner of sorts. A coach, a therapist. What I love about her sabbatical journey, and I have taken more than one sabbatical, and I've taken 6 months, 9 months, almost a year, where I have really tampered down on my activities, and I've really been more about like rest and what I want next. And I think that's kind of the difference between restore. So like a sabbatical rest can have daily rest. In my opinion, it should have daily rest built in. It should have restorative rest built in. But sabbatical rest sometimes is around a question you want answered. Maybe, what do I want to do next? It may have creativity involved. I've always wanted to learn mosaic. Yeah, I'm taking a mosaic course next year because that's all that I give that example a lot. Does not have to be you writing a book. I know a lot of college professors do that. You don't have to write your life's work, but hey, if you want to. Sabbatical is you pulling back in, pulling your energy back. You're not being the cruise director. I tell people who can throw some money at it. You can hire a mother's helper, go in with a neighbor on a nanny. I mean, I have seen people at all socioeconomic levels be very creative. Ask the daycare lady, or man or person, if your kid can stay every third Wednesday late or have a weekend day. Okay, so a sabbatical is something, and this is how I look at it. What I did with my client is we came up with what we had a pre-time. So before the sabbatical, now it's during the sabbatical, and then we're going to have a post time. And one of the things she's trying to answer is what her next is. But life is still lifing, and getting her back to the boundaries of, remember, you're in a sabbatical, and people don't know what the hell that is. And that's okay. What I say, over explaining is over giving, and you don't have to over explain. Netching if you don't want to. The other thing when it comes to rest, I always tell this to my clients, guilt sometimes is the price you pay to have yourself back. Remember, guilt is I'm doing something wrong. And if you haven't created a habit of rest, then it may feel like you're doing something wrong. You ain't doing nothing wrong. Okay. So here is the rest that I think they all matter, but this is the rest we can all do. And that is the daily rest, okay? To rest daily, you will have to find ways to delegate out tasks. I just saw an advertisement that said women, professional women. Fuck it, professional women, what does that even mean? Women, people who identify as women, that they are working 21 extra hours a week than their partner on the home, on kids, on if they have them, on whatever, caretaking. Y'all can find some things that are the opposite of this. Just you hear what I'm saying, right? So you have to delegate out tasks. And when you delegate out a task, when you have other people do it, you can't control how it's done. That ain't delegating out the task. Delegating out the task is, let me tell you something. I delegated out the task of my kids making their own lunch. Now, in the beginning, every now and then I checked to make sure 75 juice boxes were gone, but there are a couple of times where I saw some interesting actions, and I sat on my hands and zipped my lips. I was like, oh, well, I got to go back to the store a little earlier this week to get this or whatever. I'm just the silence. Silence is golden. Is that a rest renegotiation? Silence is golden. Solitude is golden. Okay. If you could throw some money at it, trying to find a way to throw some money at it, looking at programs, trying to figure things out. Mental energy is energy. So as we're looking for ways to rest, let's not try to start physical action with a ton of mental action. Meditation is your friend in that. Meditation is your friend. Meditation allows you to direct your mind a little easier. Okay. Try going to bed a little earlier, even 10 or 15 or 30 minutes. Try getting up a little earlier, even 10 or 15 or 30 minutes to have some time by yourself. You want some time by yourself sometimes, okay? Research project yourself. Say, I'm going to keep working with this until I figure it out. 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day. Doesn't have to be 3 hours. Also, rest is laughter. Rest is fun. I'm not talking about the fun where we run a marathon. That's not fun. I'm talking about the fun where we are allowed to remember who we are. Y'all, it's homecoming. And I used to be in the club a lot. My girlfriend and I, and a couple of her girlfriends, we are going to the club. Is the club ready for us? And I got shoes I can dance in all night. I said to her, I'm going to dance with a squirrel, a girl, a boy, the wall. I don't myself. I'm going to go have fun. I'm going to remember 20-year-old Kim and not even early 30s Kim, 20-year-old Kim, 20s Kim, okay? Reminding yourself who you used to be. This is the rest. This is the rest. This is the rest. And here's the last thing I'm going to say. Once you get your rest position solidified, encourage the people you love to take rest. Share this episode with them. I don't think I cussed as much in this episode. It's probably safe for your, folks who don't like that. I was listening to an episode today after I had COVID, and that's the episode. It'll air before this one. There was hold up, are you giving yourself credit or something like that? And I cursed so much, and I was like, well, clearly I was very quiet during COVID because all the curse words have built up. I don't think I cussed a lot in this one. I don't even know. I always gonna take the E because, yeah. Encourage people you love to rest. I think about the people who have passed on before me. And I bet you in the ancestor realm, I feel like they are like, what? Yes, Kim, thank you for telling them to rest. Have more fun. Take life less serious. Do the things you want to do. Let go of the mental anguish. If you are struggling with anxiety, go see a therapist. Okay? Okay. All right, y'all. This was a good one. So this week, your homework is, how can I find some rest in every day? How can I think about planning rest? Starting to look at your vacation, what you want to do, where you want to go. And do you want to do a sabbatical at some point? Sometimes your business has these things built in. Leave of absence, or you're working on a creative you got to ask the question. If you what is it? You have not because you ask not. All right, y'all. Mwah. Have a good one.
Are you feeling what you just heard? Good, good. Repeat after me. You don't have to figure it out on your own again anymore. I'm here to help. Head over to KimArrington.com and download my free video series dedicated to getting you feeling your best right now. Look around, there's some good stuff waiting on you. Got questions? Well, we're always talking on the socials, so find me on YouTube, Insta, and the book. Don't be shy, y'all. Go listen to another episode or join me here the same time next week. Finally, don't keep good shit to yourself. Share this with a homie that could use some help too. Remember, we're not lying to ourselves anymore. We're not lying to our doctors. And you damn sure don't lie to your life coach.